Hey, everybody. I hope and pray that you're doing well today as we come to our word from the Word. And today, that word is termination. Termination. Now, not determination, but like the end, termination. Now, if you think about this, as we're looking through Judges, and as I challenge you all the time, I pray that you're reading along because I'm just picking out certain portions for us to deal with. And today, the one verse we're going to deal with doesn't say a word about prayer, but it has more to do with why everything's going on with Israel, why they're facing the problems that they're going to face throughout the book of Judges, why it's going to be this repeating cycle that we see from beginning to end. It's even a time of reflection here in the book of Judges that goes back to talking about the time with Joshua. But then verse 10 is probably one of the most telling verses in all of Judges. And it's very telling in your life and in mine today, of how we pass on to the next generation and what we're passing on. In Judges chapter 2, in verse 10, it says, when all that generation, talking about the generations before, when all that generation had been gathered to their fathers, another generation arose after them who did not know the Lord, nor the work which he had done for Israel. Now, we've been talking about prayers throughout these books of the Bible as we've been going. And here, the reason that I picked the word termination is because it seems as though prayer is going to come to an end. I mean, who would be praying to a God that they don't know? To a God that they don't understand has given them all these covenant promises? To a God who has poured out and rescued the Israelites time and time again, poured out his blessings and rescued them, poured out his mercy and his grace. But it's something interesting, even as I was reading and preparing for this, that even though it's really easy for us to look and blame that generation, because I'm not saying that there's no fault at all on them for not passing on that the wealth of knowledge that they had, because that is definitely something that they failed to do as God had instructed them to do. But there's also something we need to notice. No time in the book of Judges will we see that they are let go, that God says, okay, well, I'm not going to hold you accountable this generation because the previous generation didn't do what they were supposed to do. No, he holds them accountable just the same. So, in other words, you can't blame your parents. Can't blame your grandparents. Can't blame anybody. Can't blame your Sunday school teacher, your school teacher. You can't blame those in authority over you, who may be older than you. You cannot blame them. No, the blame falls on you and on us. It falls on us. Now, to think about that, how do we think that our children, our grandchildren are ever going to understand what it means to pray if we don't show them? If we don't teach them the importance of prayer? How much easier will it be for another generation to rise up and not see God, not see the importance of prayer if we don't show them? Now, yes, they're still going to have to answer for themselves, just the same as you and I will. But here's the thing. If we have to answer for it, and we know they're going to have to answer for it, why wouldn't we help them learn from our mistakes? The times that we know that we've fallen short, and the times that we haven't prayed like we ought to. But since we've learned in that, we can say, listen, y'all come in a little closer and let me tell you just how good God is. We should create a hunger and a thirst in the next generation that they should want to know God. Want to know and want to experience. I mean, have you ever heard about the old time revivals and desire that for our nation today? But do we desire it enough to go seeking after it ourselves? Do we desire it enough to pray for it ourselves? Or do we just think that all that stuff is gone in the past and, we're not going to have another day like it was when the early church was on fire? It's not going to be like that again. Do we get complacent? Of course we do. But that's no excuse. It's just simply an excuse. It's not a good one at all. But I wonder today, Have you ever stopped to think, who have you taught to pray? Maybe even better yet, when you're old and gray, and some of you may already be there, that's okay. Who's going to pray for you when you need it most? Something to think about today. God bless you, and I pray you have a great, great day.